firstly, Jason, thanks very much for coming and having a chat. Isaac, it's awesome to come here to RMIT up at Bundoora, and you've got a great facility up here and lots of different research happening. Jason, in terms of the alopecia, maybe you could just explain what it actually is, and because a lot of people might not understand, even have a clue what actually it's about, and feel free to jump in if you want. Isaac.
Oh, maybe I should let Isaac do the explanation while
sure.
jump in when how this whole thing came about.
Yeah, cool.
So alopecia is an autoimmune condition as far as we're aware. And so it's our body's immune system attacking hair follicles, thinking that they're foreign bodies almost, and so that causes the hair loss.
Yep.
And what we are looking at in our research really is rather than the physiology, but we're looking at how physical activity can help in terms of mental health, and quality of life of patients who have alopecia.
Yeah, well, that was my experience. Was when I was 17 when I started losing my hair and had no idea what was going on. I remember going to the doctor and saying, "Look, what's going on?" He goes, "Oh, well, you're just under stress." I was doing year 11, and he's like, "Look, don't worry about it." And then it got worse, and I said, "Well, look, am I going to lose an arm next?" He goes, "Well, don't be stupid." And I'm like, "Well, I don't know." So it's a very difficult thing, and one of the things we're going to touch on with this doco is. We're going to talk to some of the girls and the women, because I find that as hard it is as a bloke walking around with a bald head, and it was hard in my 20s, as a mid-40-year-old doesn't bother me as much anymore, but for the girls it's really, really tough, and that's something we're going to look at. So you've been looking at physical activity and what sort of impact it can have. Where's that led you?
Now, maybe I should give you some contextual background how this research came about, how we combine physical activity and alopecia. We were out running one day, one regular runs around the campus, because my background in research is predominantly in physical activity.
Okay.
And Isaac mentioned that he has alopecia, so we thought, why don't we put them together and look at the outcomes of alopecia with physical activity. And so we came back to the run and we did a bit of background work, and we found that there wasn't much work done with patients with alopecia and physical activity and quality of life and mental health outcomes. We know that there is a lot of work done on quality of life and mental health within the normal population, but not this specific group of people, because and I think in Australia around 3% of the population do have this issue, which is quite a substantial number.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things I tried to find out recently. I emailed Shell Campbell, who's the president of the AAAF, the Australian Alopecia Areata Foundation, and I asked her, "Look, do you have any numbers?" And she's like, "We've got no idea."
It's about 3%. Really the idea for the research was we were talking about alopecia being an autoimmune condition, right? And you were saying that with other autoimmune conditions, they tend to be inflammatory, and we know that exercise and physical activity can help to reduce inflammation. So we thought there may be a possibility of maybe reducing the severity of alopecia by doing physical activity. But then we were talking to dermatologists at St. Vincent's who are now our collaborators as well, and they were saying that alopecia is not necessarily that much of an inflammatory condition like other autoimmune conditions, and so therefore it was a nice idea, but it's probably not going to lead us anywhere in terms of research. That's when we were looking at physical activity and quality of life, because it seemed that quality of life and mental health is, as you alluded to earlier, can be quite significant for people with alopecia.
Yeah, I know when I started losing my hair at 17, it was psychologically devastating. I mean, I was just as the girls started to be interested, and then they weren't. But it was really, really awkward, and the eyebrows went pretty early, and then splotches on the hair, and I used to wear a cap, and that'd be at the end of the day. I was working on farms and that because I wanted to get out of town, and at the end of the day, I'd have a handful of hair in the cap, and it was quite. And at 25 was interesting because that's when my daughter was born, and I immediately worried about what I'd given her, which, as it turns out, she hasn't got it. But it was a worry. One of the weird things I find is I know when I'm really, really sick because I can feel a bit of hair on my head. So it's like the immune system's had to actually stop playing around with its hobby and actually go do some serious work. And so I can be really sick and have hair, or be healthy and bald. It's a bit of a trade-off, but that's just one of the weird things I've found. And so in terms of your research, what sort of numbers of people are included?
We are looking at a pilot study on some of the outcomes that of interest, which are quality of life and mental health in there. And we are keen to see if people who are active, how does it impact on their quality of life? How does it affect their mental health?
Okay.
And we're talking about people with alopecia.
Yep.
And we're also looking at the severity of the alopecia.
Yep.
What's the relationship? At this stage, the data is being analyzed.
Well, Jared, thank you very much for having a chat. It's awesome to come here to RMIT at Bundoora, and very interested in the type of work that you do here. And we spoke to Isaac and Jason earlier, and
colleagues,
your colleagues, So just it'd be interesting to hear what.
I've only been here for a short time, but I've started to work with Isaac and Jason on research involving alopecia and people's psychological well-being. And they've done some research that you probably would have interviewed them about whether or not physical activity might involve...
That's exactly what they were talking about. They were talking about they're looking to see if there's a link between physical activity and if it can actually impact on alopecia, which would seem to be very diverse and separate issues, but...
Well, I also thought that they were looking to see whether the physical activity might impact on the psychological well-being of the people as well. Because we do know that, like if you're depressed or anxious, sometimes physical activity can help you to put it aside, if not just temporarily, but even longer term. Like getting active and doing things helps people.
I was telling them earlier that I know when I'm really, really sick because my hair starts to grow back. It's like the immune system has to go and do its real job.
Go on overdrive. Okay, well that could be an interesting thing if you get to talk to any immunologist, because they might be interested in trying to provoke that situation.
It's weird. No, it's certainly over the years when I've been really, really sick, like
really a bad cold or something.
Or the flu or something like that, and I'm in bed. When I get bedridden for a day or two, which happens rarely. I've noticed during that time that my hair just starts just a little bit. It's really weird. So that tells me when I get to that point, I know I've got to listen to the body and chill out.
Take a rest.
You come from a fairly diverse background yourself. Jonathan and myself are actually from Victoria Uni, and you were saying that you did a bit of a stint there as well.
I worked for Victoria University from 1996 through till 2014, and started off as a lecturer and became an associate professor there.
Oh, nice.
And that's where I started doing my bit of research on alopecia. Through the Alopecia Areata Australia Inc. Society.
Alright, so that's a bit of an idea of some of the research that's being done out here at Bundoora at the RMIT campus. We're now going to go and have a chat to some of the people that have got the condition apart from myself, and it was great to have Isaac's input, and it's going to be really cool to catch up with Samantha in a couple of days' time. And she was only 6 when she started getting her alopecia, and unfortunately she's been forced to leave school and go to another school because of all the bullying, which is just not on. So we're going to catch up with her. While up in Bendigo, I talked with Samantha about the difficulties of some of the day-to-day activities which all of us have to engage in life, which can certainly be compromised when you don't have any hair, with the way society looks at you and some of their views. This can certainly be exacerbated when you're doing such simple things as going shopping in a clothing store. This is what Samantha had to say about the difficulties just about everyone who has alopecia would face at some point.
To do it, like, I'm scared that they're gonna think that I'm weird and that they wouldn't like to serve me, and I'm scared that they would look at me and all that stuff.
Yeah. And do you think that they also might look at you and say, well, this person's a bit weird, they probably don't have any money?
Yeah.
Do you worry about that sort of thing?
Mostly what they think about me, not if they have money.
Yeah, and that's and yet for the average person they don't do that. They just walk in, they just
that's much harder.
So have you felt that a lot, like early on maybe?
Early on, yeah, but I've got my confidence more now.
Yeah. Well, that's what it's all about. Cool. Samantha is just an ordinary 12-year-old girl, which is clearly evident by glancing around her room. While losing your hair is confronting for us blokes, for the girls it can be their whole world. For especially the girls and women who have alopecia, wigs can become an important and expensive component of their lives. As you can see from Samantha's collection of wigs, appearance is very important, especially for the girls. Samantha is only just about to become a teenager, but what if you're older? Does alopecia hold you back from achieving your dreams? I caught up with Shay, a 29-year-old who is now following her dreams and achieving impressive goals, and discussed how alopecia has affected her. Yeah, that's right. You can do the Darren Hinch.
When I first lost my hair, I remember not really being aware of what was going on. Mum didn't hide anything. Like there was nothing like that. It was more, I guess I just didn't really understand it. Yeah. I guess. Even when like Mum was saying before about when we went to the doctors and he, grabbed the chunk of my hair. I was just like, it's just hair. I don't know what's going on. It's fine. It was probably maybe.
How old were you then?
I would have been 7, or 6 turning 7. When maybe 6 months after it started, I remember standing in the bedroom at our old house, in my mum and dad's bedroom, in front of the mirror, and I remember my mum used to do my hair in a side ponytail, so it used to comb over, so I never saw it, and I remember taking the ponytail out and just moving it and seeing it for the first time and just going, what is happening to me? I thought I was dying. Like, as a little kid, you don't have any idea of what's really going on, and like mum coming running down and like her holding me and her crying and me crying, and then we sat down and we had a big talk about it, we went and spoke to another dermatologist who was actually really good, and explained a lot about what they knew then about alopecia, which wasn't a huge amount. And she gave me this colouring book, and it was all about like people with alopecia, and so it showed that there's other people like me and all that sort of stuff. And you know, you kind of feel like you're the only one, even if, you know, there is other people out there. It doesn't feel like there's anyone out there. It feels like you're completely by yourself.
I was the only one in my town.
Oh, really? Well, the first time I met someone else with alopecia, we went to a like group meeting type thing with the Alopecia Australia Association. I don't know, the one that used to be around that's not around anymore. And we went in, and they like get you to sign in and everything. So I signed in, and then they were like, right, you can come with me to my mum, and off she went. And then they went, the kids are all going this way. I was like, oh, okay. And we got like shafted into this room with all these little kids, all little bald kids with their hats on. They're just sitting, no one was looking at each other, and I'm sitting there, no hat, no scarf, nothing. I was like, what is wrong with these people? Like, why do they all look so sad? And they got us to play games and, you know, things like that. And towards the end of the day, they had like an outdoor sort of courtyard area, and all the kids were running around, and like we're running around, and I said to one of the little girls, you look sweaty, take your hat off, you'll feel better when you take your hat off. She slowly takes her hat off. Nobody stared at her because we all looked the same, and then they all start taking their hats off. And my mum was standing like in the glass windows watching out, and all the mums had tears rolling down. They're like, our kids are not like this. That just gave me goosebumps, and I'm like, it was my own thing. Yeah, like, they're like, you know, it's so good that your daughter could walk around like that and not care about what anyone thinks. And then when I got to high school, I realised that I did care what people think. Yeah. As much as I thought I didn't, I really did care what people think. Probably not in the first like 2 years of high school, because you know, like you go through that sort of settling stage and your hormones going crazy, and so you're trying to deal with all of that stuff. And then I got to year 9, and we were like halfway through year 9. I was so depressed because all I wanted was a boyfriend, because I was like boy crazy. Yep. I've been with my partner now for nearly 8 years, and I wonder why I ever wanted a boyfriend. I love him dearly, but he drives me bonkers. Yeah, so like I remember I came home after term 2 and was like a mess, and I said to my mum, it's just not fair, all the other girls are being kissed by boys, and you know, I go to parties and nobody wants to even talk to me and all this sort of stuff. She said, well, do you want to look at wigs? And I said yes. So we went and like tried on all the synthetic wigs. I was so itchy. I was like, I'm not wearing this is ridiculous. I'm like, there has to be something better. And we got in contact with Angela from Angel Wigs and got my first suction based wig. And I remember wearing it, and I just kept doing this. Every time I go bowling, and everyone's like, you're going to put your head in the ball shiner? No! Because that would hurt, and I'm not stupid. Seriously. People come up with the dumbest things. I remember when we were in maybe year 8, we had swimming sports. And one of the boys came up to me with a chamois, and he was like, on my head, and I was like, it's not funny. He was like, shine your boots, governor. I was like, can you just leave me alone? But like, for me, I've always had a really good sense of humour about it, so I've always been able to crack jokes rather than, that's my front, you know, like, even in high school, when things upset me, I would just crack a joke, because it was the only way that I felt that I could deal with it. Well, if you don't have a sense of humour about it.
No. So did you, after you were at school, what did you do? Did you go then find work, or did you go to uni, or?
What did I do after high school? I think I just went straight into work. I was working at Subway through high school. Yep. And ended up, I think, just going and doing that for a year. And then I got a job as a receptionist. Yep. And did that for a little bit, and kind of just dabbled in bits and pieces, and I think I never really knew where I fit or what I wanted to do. Did a couple of like administration courses and things like that. And then started dancing with a dance school that a girl that I knew opened. and she let me teach a couple of classes, and I was like, I really like this. I really like teaching these classes. And so I got more into the dance teaching and decided this is what I want to do. This is where I want to be. And I opened a babies music program 3 years ago, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, and ran that, bought a franchise, ran it for 3 years, successfully.
Yep.
And then after that decided I just wanted to be out on my own with the dance school, and then so I opened my own dance school this year. EDN Dance Company.
Cool.
Everybody dance now. So we've got normal classes, and then next year I'm actually starting a dance class for kids with disabilities, because there's nothing for kids that can't go and join a normal class because of whatever reason. They've got autism, or they're in a wheelchair or anything like that. There's nothing for these kids, and they need to have something to do.
Yep.
So I decided, that's what I want to do. I want to go in, open that class for people. Hi, I'm Caitlin. When I first started to lose my hair, I was concerned mostly because I was worried that I might be sick, or that there might be something wrong with me. My main concern was for my health.
Yep.
And so when I ended up going to see a doctor, and I was told that it was this thing called alopecia areata, I felt better about it, because I knew that it was just an aesthetic thing, that it wasn't really going to impact me beyond the fact that I wouldn't have any hair. If I see someone with really, really nice hair, with a really nice hairstyle, or it's just cut in a nice way, or it's a nice colour, I get really jealous of them.
Yeah.
But it's still not enough.
You could be a blonde one week and a brunette the next.
That would be a lot of fun. I did go and try on some wigs a little while ago. My mum and I went to a wig shop, and I was trying on all of these different ones, long ones, short ones. And there was a really long brown one which looked really dark on me and was funny. There's a peroxide blonde one.
A little older than Samantha, Caitlin also shared some of her views on the difficulties faced by those with alopecia while simply doing some of the simple tasks such as shopping for clothes.
Sometimes going shopping can be a bit difficult for me, I think, because either things won't sit right. If I'm wearing a hat, it might sit in a bit of a funny way, or because there are these really idealistic standards of what women are expected to look like, I sometimes find that I will look at a poster of a girl wearing a shirt and I'll think, well, that shirt looks really nice on her, but on me it probably wouldn't look as good because I look so different. Those standards that people are upheld to can be very restrictive, I think, and it can definitely make people, especially women who have alopecia or otherwise are bald, those standards can really make it difficult for women to feel accepted and to feel that the way that they are is good enough, and that the way that they look, that they can look beautiful even if they don't look like the poster woman, the poster model, this idealistic standard of what a woman is supposed to look like and what makes someone beautiful. I think ultimately I've come to recognise that having alopecia is just one facet of my personality. It's a part of who I am, and I don't necessarily have a desire to change that. I'm very happy with myself, I'm very happy with the way that I look, and I don't feel like it's really inhibiting me from anything. Honestly, it's just a part of who I am, and I'm very okay with that.